Now, without a doubt, He-Man, I have the power.
You only have the power of greed. Oh, welcome. Just playing with my He-Man toys. He-Man, Skeletor, Castle Grayskull. I don't know about you, but I loved He-Man growing up. I never thought anything would take away Star Wars for me, but He-Man did that. And not just the toys. I loved the cartoon. I can remember trying to rush home to see it because school would let out at 2:45 and He-Man would come on every day at 3 o'clock. Yeah, He-Man wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon where you got a new one every week. You got a new He-Man every day. Or at least it seems like it was a new one to me. I can't ever remember turning on He-Man and saying, "Oh, I've seen this one before." I'm pretty sure it did happen, but for one group of kids in Abilene, Texas, late 1985, they rushed home to turn on He-Man, to watch the latest episode. Who knows what it was? Maybe it was one where Tila discovers that the cave she goes to write her poetry was really the muse of writing her poetry and not her. Or maybe it was the one where Prince Adam decided to never tell Aurak a joke again. It doesn't matter which episode it was, because when the kids of Abilene, Texas got home, they turned on their television set to discover divorce court. He-Man was gone. Out of the blue, the station, KTXS, just pulled the show. I mean, this was at the height of He-Man. Sure, 85 going to 86. It might not have been as popular as it was, let's say, 83, 84. But come on. Kids have been accustomed to coming home every day watching He-Man. And let's be honest, again, what could kids do about this? This was before kids could get on their TikTok machine or their Instagram or their MySpace account and complain. What could little kids do about not being able to see He-Man? And what adult would say, "Hey, bring back a cartoon. I don't want to watch Divorce Court." I mean, even as a kid, you had to admit, Divorce Court was pretty good. Not as good as People's Court, but it was entertaining, I guess. But luckily, the kids had a hero. Sure, they had He-Man, but I'm talking about a real hero. The mothers of Texas. Never upset a mother in Texas, or you'll hear about it. And that's exactly what happened. Actually, it was 3 mothers of Abilene, Texas. They took up the calls to get He-Man back on the air. They weren't going to deal with coming home after work to find their kids crying in a ball on the floor. This was devastating, and the parents had to do something. They dubbed the day that it went off the air as Black Monday. It was a dark day in any household that had kids. He-Man wasn't for boys. He-Man wasn't just for girls. He-Man was for everybody, young and old. Everybody wanted to watch He-Man. They say that you could hear the cries of young kids turning on the television to discover He-Man was gone all across town. Screams, yells, cry. Tears of He-Man fans could be heard throughout the county. So what would these 3 mothers do to return peace and quiet back to their house, to make their kids happy? A Texas mom's gonna do all she can. So these 3 mothers did what they could to bring He-Man back. Within just 2 days of going off the air, 2 of the 3 mothers met up at the television station. I guess the third one had to work or something. Not sure why she wasn't there. Tammy Spivey and Rexel Holt was there at the station to demand He-Man's return to the television screen. They met with the program director, who told them, sorry, He-Man's ratings were just okay, so they were going to try out Divorce Court. This wasn't enough for these 2 mothers, and they organized a protest. Now this is a protest everyone could get behind. Not only that, they went around town getting other parents and kids to sign a petition. Over 1,400 people signed to bring He-Man back to KTXS television. Soon, all this talk about He-Man was becoming big local news. It even made the front of the local newspaper. Even people from nearby counties, who wasn't even sure that He-Man was off the air, were getting in on the fight, demanding the return of He-Man. But why? Why did these parents take up this call? We did it for the children. The television station said they were overrun with letters from parents angry of He-Man going off television. There's massive heartbreak at my house thanks to your decision to take off He-Man, wrote one angry parent. Another letter said, your decision to remove He-Man from the afternoon lineup has devastated our household. And another letter asked, what are you doing? Why did you take He-Man off television? Kids are crying all over town. And I'm sure they were. One local mother even asked, do the people that run that television station have children of their own? Why would they take He-Man off? What a sad day. I can't imagine coming home to find He-Man not on the air, and in his place, divorce court. Another parent wrote in to say that their 4-year-old was devastated. I'm with you, Kevin, and I'm sure he wasn't the only one. Well, that October, He-Man returned to KTXS, replacing divorce court. I'm sure divorce court moved to another time, maybe after He-Man. It was probably a win-win for both. But the television station needed to make it up to the kids. They needed to do more than just put He-Man back on the air. They needed to say, I'm sorry. And how does a television station do? And how would a television station do that? Well, they brought He-Man to town. They teamed up with Mattel, and He-Man came to Texas. Yeehaw. Taylor County Fairground was going to welcome He-Man, and over 8,000 kids and parents showed up, and no one in the small town expected that. Now, at first, He-Man was to arrive on a hot air balloon, but due to winds that day, he couldn't make it in the hot air balloon, so he had to just show up walking like everybody else. But that wasn't the disaster that day. So many kids and probably adults showed up to see He-Man. Hundreds of kids had to go home without even seeing He-Man. According to the television station's owner, they had to cancel the He-Man appearance, fearing that kids could be hurt. Apparently, kids were getting lost from their parents. Kids were tearing down decorations. The kids were running amok. It was a crazy day for He-Man fans. The television owner said they expected about 150 people there, but they got over 8,000. The good news is they did order 10,000 free posters from Mattel to give away to fans. So at least, hopefully, some of the kids, or all of the kids, got to go home with a He-Man poster. A spokesman from Mattel said he'd never seen such a great reaction to He-Man. Sheila Washington, the mother of her 4-year-old, said there were so many people there that when she put her daughter on her shoulders to see He-Man, she couldn't even see him. That's right, standing in the crowd, on her mother's shoulder, this 4-year-old could not even see He-Man. And Barbara Beasley of Sweetwater brought her 3 sons to see He-Man for her 6-year-old's birthday. Seeing He-Man was all Rowdy wanted, she told the newspaper. He and my other kids love He-Man, but they barely got a glimpse of him. Sadly, that's the end of the story. The kids did, at the end, get He-Man back on television. And we went into 1986, we saw the sale of He-Man toys drop almost 90%. By the end of 1986, most kids didn't care about He-Man anymore. Gone. Moved on. Sayonara. He-Man was over. But for that brief time in late 1985 into early 1986, in this small Texas town, He-Man was still king. Well, what would you have done if they took He-Man off in your area? Maybe they did. Let me know that and more in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe to the channel. Thumb up so I know you like my content. And we'll talk again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.